Okay, abusia be ma kwa abason so edeba POG Media so yembonra yensem no eye Domelevo a chese oka NDC oratim no abusia sisi ade e chese nioma ode eba bonten no ese wani ensa oka kire na za enso no oye former auditor general na the former auditor general mu no NPP aban mu nioma ekoso during his tenure no abusia ensema wa brogu ho no ama ekoye ma eye chief of staff maami aye friend Frema Opare no eche se oko backbite eye NPP Jubilee House of no o mama ndi go ahead se onkoso na eche se on expose na Addo aban no ono ankasa ma Domelevo platform no abusia na eye auditor general friend Domelevo no nioma ene secret ekura na wode aba abonten sisi ano wakwa akopie mo court a okura document abusia enye asenketwa NDC oratim no eye aduma oratim no eye aduma abusia okokopie mo court no eye osafo mafu ni din apiem MPP mpanyinfo bebre eye saa achema afie saa nkofo no a omo pese omo si Domelevo ho anokwan a chese omo pese odi document bi anase expose beba no manat na se abaru court a chese court no okobie ensemani so achire de agye no yensem mbre no yenko na yenkonkoti ensem course na ansa na ebeko no owo ensem kan bi afahye the comment section like na share ma afofro so ensa into me enkabi aha POG Media so
that they had removed you.
Yes.
Did they remove you or you resigned or something happened? Tell me a little bit about that before we get on the program.
Well, I think I was removed.
You were removed.
I did not resign because, like I said to the president, I was creating too much problem for him. He was very uncomfortable with the type of audit I was doing and holding his officials accountable. And he thought it was necessary for me to go.
Well, before we get there,
Yeah.
isn't that what you're supposed to do? Isn't that your terms of reference that as the Auditor General, you're supposed to keep an eye?
Exactly, that is my term. And interestingly, this is the president who, before I was appointed, that's when I was nominated, before swearing in, called me and said that, he hears I have some reservations of accepting the appointment. So I should go ahead and accept it because he wants to fight corruption.
Wow.
And he's been told that if he wants to fight corruption,
you're the person.
I'm the guy who is supposed to do that because in his words, you can do the work with your eyes closed. I'm told. As I have asked around and I'm told you can do the work with your eyes closed. And
this is quite interesting. So he actually called you.
He did.
And said, in case you are wavering.
Any doubt, please go ahead.
Because you can do the job.
Exactly. Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe called me on his phone and said, hold on for the president-elect. That time he had not been sworn into office. And said, hold on for the president-elect. And Addo himself told me that I've heard you have some reservations and you may not accept the appointment. Please don't do that.
Wow.
Go for it because I've checked around and I'm told you can do the work with your eyes closed. So take it. When I come to office, we'll see how to work together. And true to his words, actually, when he came to office, I think about the second week we had the first meeting, and we continuously met, and things were smooth. Anywhere he met me, he only congratulated me for doing my work.
Wow.
It is only when we exceeded 2017, and we're now in 2018, now we have to audit 2017, which is his era. That is where the tables stand. Yes. So when I was holding the previous administration,
that was okay.
It was very okay. And if you have doubts about what I'm saying, check the State of the Nation address, 2018, and also his speech during Independence, 6 March 2018. He praised the Auditor General for saving him enough money to do free HSs. He said, people say, where will I get money from to do free HS? But now the audit has saved me.
And he credited you for saving enough money.
So much money because I disallowed 5.4 billion Ghana cedis, which was liabilities accumulated as at the end of 2016. You know, one of the bad practices in the public sector, I said bad practices because I've been in the public sector for a long time. People don't know. They think I came only as Auditor General. I was at the Accountant General for 18 years.
Oh, my goodness.
But the payroll they use, which they call IPP, they implemented it. I was also the first Xp0sě director. So I've been an Accountant General for a very long time.
Wow.
Yes. Anytime there was a change in government, between the time the government goes away and a new government settles, like as at now, there's a lot of contracts that are signed by MDAs, the chief directors and the directors, etc. They sign a lot of fake contracts, backdating them into the previous year. But then they've forgotten that auditors can always unmark these things easily. So
actually fake up a contract and then backdate it.
Oh yeah.
So it will look like
today they will be signing a contract today dated maybe 1st October 2024.
Wow.
So you see they say, this is an old contract.
Okay.
But they've forgotten that it is a process. So during the audit, we ask you, you have this contract. Fantastic. It looks very good. But tell us, how did it start? When did you advertise this? Did you use a single source or you use competitive or restricted tendering? Because each of them have got its procedure. If you say you did single source, you
There's a
ask
procedure for
where
that.
is the PPA approval that you got to do a single source procurement? You may not have it. So it shows that there's something fishy. If you say you did competitive tendering, yes, show us the advert, the press cutting of the advert, and how many tenders did you receive? Can we see them? Where's the evaluation report? And etc.
Oh, wow.
So by the time we get into the details, you own up. So people bought the tender document, right? Can we see their check payments in your bank account? Because you collected that check and deposited it in your bank account. Show us your bank statement, which shows that people bought your tender document. Because you can bring fake tender documents. Fine. So people bought this. Is that not it? Yes. So show us. So that is easy to identify this. And I'm very sure that today, if we go back by the end of this month, the bill that they will tell government, which is the outstanding liabilities, at times about 50% are fake. Wow. Yes. And I think if President Mahama is serious about this, he may have to make sure that he audits the liabilities that he's coming to meet before start payment. Because as at now, previous government appointees and heads of MDAs and etc. are still faking contracts.
Wow.
They call the contractor.
Even all those should be audited.
If it is not audited and they start paying, they'll just be throwing government money away.
Oh, my word.
That is what happened in 2017. Hence, I disallowed 5.4 billion. That time it was equal to 1.1 billion US dollars.
Wow.
Which I disallowed.
So the
president
have gone
was
through the
very
system.
happy. Yes, yes. These are liabilities they submitted to Ministry of Finance to pay. And I told the finance minister, I should hold on, let's go and verify. We went to do the verification, and you realize that, oh, look, these are fake payments.
Wow.
And I think to stop this, there must be consequences for this fraudulent behavior. Not just to cancel it by the Auditor General, but people must be prosecuted. Because these are attempting to steal. And if it was you and I, you will have gone to jail. But the funny thing about our legal system is that when the people who commit economic crimes which affect all of us, they commit crime, they are well protected and safe. But if the hungry woman steals maybe a corn, banana, or...
they go to jail.
They go to jail immediately.
12 years.
And the judges are merciless on them. But when it comes to these ones, you never know what happens.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
So you uncovered that, and the president was not too happy when you went to the year.
No,
that
the president was happy when I uncovered
the previous one.
Then the following years, you remember one of my audits, I came out with a finding that about 6 ministers of state had used money meant for needy and brilliant students as scholarship and gate fund. They had used it to travel abroad, including Martin Opoku, Prempe,
I remember. Yes.
Yasafu, and etc.
Yeah.
He was not happy with those type of findings at all. Then came the famous Osafo Mafu's case,
the Kroll Associates.
Yes. That one, I think, is the straw which
They say, well, this man too is. Wow.
Yes.
No, but it's very, very interesting that the man called you and say, I hear you are wishy-washy. Please, I want you to stay because I need somebody like you.
Exactly. That's exactly what he told me. In fact, he said he had spoken to Osafumafu Kandapa, Akuffo, and all these people were at the Ministry of Finance, around Ministry of Finance, when I was an accountant general. So I know them, and they also know me. And they say, that guy, he's tough. If you need somebody to do that work, go for him. So he called me and said, don't reject the offer. Take it. When I come, you'll see how to fix it.
Wow.
So there was no problem the whole of 2017. I don't think there was not even one problem.
Because you are uncovering stuff that did not affect.
Little did he remember that after that regime,
it will be
the next was going to be this, and the problem started.
Wow.
Yes.
I always kept wondering, when did he change? Because honestly, for some reason, I believe that he was well-intentioned, and even calling you, and saying, "I hear that you go by the books, and I want you to stay because I want you to help me when I start."
Yes.
So, in your own estimation, I'm trying to tell you to guess.
Yes.
Why do you think a change came, or when did that change come?
Now, the problem is that I started auditing 2017, which was his era, okay? And his ministers and appointees were uncomfortable. So they were reporting to him that I was fighting the government. In fact, there was a very interesting scene also. I remember one of the audits was of that institution, National Health Insurance. Good. And in the course of that National Health Insurance audit, Professor Diajimai did everything possible to stop it. The board chair.
Wanted to stop the audit.
Oh, yes. He did everything, and I said, no way. I'm going in there to see what happened. And the then chief executive actually brought some audit findings to him, and he wrote to the board that they want to oversee. Based upon that, I even petitioned the president that the board and the board chairman were interfering with my job, because as far as I'm concerned, under the Constitution, Article 1A7A, it says that the Auditor General, in the performance of his functions under the Constitution and any other law, is not under the direction and control of any other person or institution.
Wow.
So that included the board. I kept telling them that there is no exception for you. So I'm not.
But the board thought they could interfere and stop.
But they thought they could interfere. So I wrote to the president, but that didn't stop it. Do you know the funny part of it is that when the audit was completed and they prepared what we call the draft audit report, which I had to review before issuing, I had to go to Kumasi. So that morning, I took off from Accra very early. I reached Kumasi before it was 8 o'clock, and the program was around 10 o'clock. So I had about 2 hours window. And I told my driver and security that, look, I am very hungry. Let me get a place to eat. So the Lancaster Hotel, that time it was something else.
It was Golden Tulip.
Golden Tulip, yes. I said, they have buffet, so let's just go there. You know, I grew up in Kumasi. I schooled in Kumasi and stayed in Kumasi for a long time. So
you're a Sekrom boy.
Very much. If you know, what do you call it, Ayija, that was my playground.
I used to go to Common Command University Primary School long ago.
Yes.
So that was my trotro station.
Oh, okay. Yes. So adjacent to the Common Command University is Bomso. Yes. That's where I grew up, at Dr. Pia place. So we went there I said, let me go and take, they have buffet. So I just take something quickly and then we go for the function. When I entered the restaurant, Madam Frema Opare was seated right there looking at me. So she beckoned me. So I went to her and said, good morning, ma. I said, good morning, my brother. But what is surprise? I just mentioned you. So this saying is very true that if you mention someone,
they're not dead, they are dead.
They are dead. And say, oh, okay. So he said, Jenna, we need to talk. I said, why not? We can talk. So he told the people near her to excuse the two of us. And she started that, I am told you are fighting us. And as I said, fight the us.
Who's the us?
And who is telling you? He said that, okay, she will go straight to the point. The point is that she heard that I launched an audit into national health insurance covering about 8 years. But my concentration is only on the MPP era. instead of looking at the previous, maybe 2014, 2015, 2016, she thinks,
You're
and the people think I'm concentrating only in 2016, 2017, 2018. So I said, oh, God is a wonderful God. And I asked her, does she believe that God reigns? And she said, yes. And I said, okay. I said, look, madam, what you are saying, the report on that audit, I was reading it on my way to Kumasi. When I came out of the car, I left it in the vehicle. But afraid of the fact that maybe my security and my driver may read the report, I went back and took it. And this is the report I'm holding. So I'm holding the report you are talking about that is targeting you. Can I show you just the executive summary?
Wow.
So I showed her the executive summary and said, look, out of 35 audit observations, that is infractions, identified 35, only 5 related to your period. 30 relates to the previous period.
And
so how can
you happen to have the document
I was holding the document in my hand. So I said, I can show you just the executive summary. The truth, however, is that the 5 infractions of your period, the value is far bigger.
But the 35.
The 35. But now who caused out? I didn't determine what your people.
Yeah.
Your people
You told her?
Yes. So she looked at it and she was like, oh my God, as for this, my people, if you don't take time, they will just disgrace you. Go ahead and do your work.
Wow.
That's what Madam Frema said.
So in the meantime, all she had heard was the gossip that you are out against.
Yes, because
to go.
Even the board chairman, Professor Addo Jimai, was doing everything possible to stop the audit, including asking the board to take a decision. And I said, you can take whatever decision you want, but the decision of the board does not stop the Auditor General in any way. And of course, funny enough or fortunately enough, in the case of CDD and others versus the Attorney General, which was on my leave case, the Supreme Court pronounced that I'm not under the direction and control of the President nor the board.
Wow.
So it says the position of the Auditor General is generic. It is a unique position.
Independent position.
It is an independent position, so you cannot do that. So that is how it went. And of course, I'm not surprised because you can see the extent of loot which followed. You can see it. If the president had just worked with me, I'm sure we would have prevented a lot of these things. Immediately, I left the scene. It was now...
And then the sad part is for somebody who said, I am here to protect the public purse.
I shall protect the public purse. I shall protect the public purse. I shall protect the public purse.
And someone who has told you, please stay on and be strict because I want you to work with me to protect the public purse.
Yes.
And so what was it that he was listening to gossip people telling them, oh, this man is against us, blah, 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 and he believed that? Or did he call you at any time to say this? And why did they say you're against us or anything?
Oh, yeah, we had several discussions, and I cannot disclose the details
I
of
respect
them
that.
for confidentiality.
I respect
but
that.
Definitely, as for what I wrote him, is in the public domain. And I stated categorically that my audits are disturbing you because I'm holding you and your people accountable. And definitely, it was not going easy. And timing-wise, you notice that I was asked to proceed on leave at the end of June 2020. And there was election coming December 2020. And in June, I was going to issue the audit report of 2019 and start surcharging people. I don't think that will have worked well for them at all. Given how narrow that election went, it will have been dangerous for them. Because, the problem about audit is that you don't just surprise them with your report. You issue what we call first audit observation on the field.
Or you put it out for them to see.
We don't audit like forgive me, the press. Like the press, they attend, they see that they go and report. No, we don't do that in audit. When I see that this cap should be here and it is not here,
I'll let you know.
I first and foremost tell you, but where's the cap? You say, oh, it is here. It's just about, let me look for it. I think you are wasting time. Then I raise an observation that is put into writing. in the past they call it query. Now we want to be a bit nicer, so we say
Raise an
audit
observation.
We are raising an observation that the cap which used to be here cannot be found. Then you respond, say, oh, give me some 2 days, you will find it. The audit finished after 1 week, you still not found it. So it will find itself into what we call the draft audit report or the management letter. So the management letter contains all the outstanding observations which have not yet been addressed satisfactorily. So that one too, the law requires under Section 29 of the Audit Service Act that we should give it to the auditee and give him or her 1 month, 30 days to respond. So they knew what was coming because they have seen the management letters and they're like, this guy. So quickly the board together with the presidency said, the guy has not been going on leave. And I myself has also asked the presidency because I said under Article 71, the president is the one who is supposed to determine our conditions of service based upon recommendation of a committee. But there is nothing about a leave for the Auditor General. How many days I'm entitled to, I don't know. So I reach out to the presidency and say, how many days am I entitled to? They say, oh, he's brought himself. Okay.
You're overdue.
Yes. So they gave me, I think, 45 days per year with retroactive effect. Go. Take it all and go. Yes. So ironically, you see that at that time we were at the Supreme Court on 2 cases, 2 major cases. The first one was Crow and Associates together with Osafo Mafu. Yes. And Justice Afia, the High Court judge then, as she was, wanted to know if the position of the senior minister was acceptable to me. That is, the senior minister contended that there were national security concerns or national security issues. That is why the work done could not be shown to the auditors. And we contested that there is no law, we have not seen any law which exempt national security from audit. So national security is subject to audit because the Constitution, read clause 2 of Article 187. It says the central government, the district, all government institutions, including national security. And of course, we audit them. So since when the national security issues become exempt from audit, we were challenging that. So Justice Afia said, okay, since this one is a constitutional issue, Supreme Court, go to Supreme Court for interpretation. So it was pushed to the Supreme Court. And we went to the Supreme Court, actually. At the Supreme Court, the presiding judge, Justice Jose Doche, asked me, through my lawyers, if I will be okay if he instruct Osafo Mafu to give me the evidence of the work done. If it will be okay. And through my lawyers, I replied him that it is not okay at all. It will be a bad precedent to be set by the Supreme Court. Because what it means is that now if you are the headmaster of a school and they say go and buy rice, we come and there is no rice and we raise issues against you and surcharge you for not buying the rice, 2 years later you can call and say I bought the rice, so come and look at the rice. So audit will never finish. And beyond that, I had completed the audit and issued my report to Parliament already. And now if you say I should go and look at it, am I going to recall that report and issue a second edition? So if we do that for the senior minister, what about the head teachers and the heads of departments? So it was going to be
something we were not going to do.
Yes. And then we reminded the Supreme Court that the reason we came was not to look at evidence, was to determine whether national security is exempt from audit. And it is our considered position, again, that national security was just an afterthought raised by Honorable Osafo Mafu. Why? Because like I told you, in the course of the audit, there was an audit observation issued to them. And they responded. They didn't talk about national security. They said they were looking for the evidence to give to the auditors.
What was the observation?
The observation was that they've seen a payment voucher paying $1.something million to Crow and Associates. But then they wanted evidence of work done. And they could not see it. They couldn't show it to them. So it means money was just thrown away.
What was the response? Did they give a response?
And then the response was that, no, they did some work and they are getting the work. They will make it available. It never came until this was somewhere in January. Then in March, the management letter, which I talked about, the draft audit report, also raised the same issue again, repeated the issue, that this issue has not been resolved. And Minister of Finance responded that they are liaising with the senior minister's office to get the evidence for us. And that never came until June, when I issued my audit report to Parliament. Then I served the senior minister and the officers from the Ministry of Finance notice of intention to disallow and surcharge the amount against them. Because from January to June, you have not been able to provide the evidence. Actually, under Section 29, they have only 30 days. And for almost 6 months, you have not provided the evidence. So when that notice went, before Honorable Osafo Mafu wrote and said that the people are working with him and blah, 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 blah. So we told the Supreme Court that even Osafo Mafu's letter in August, June, I issued the audit report to Parliament. In August, Osafo Mafu wrote to me. He didn't mention national security.
Wow.
It is only when he received the notice of the intention to disallow and surcharge that Yao Opon, who was his lawyer, now a Court of Appeal judge. Another interesting thing is that after that case, the High Court judge, together with the two lawyers who were defending Osafo Mafu, they are all now Court of Appeal judges. They were all promoted, the lawyer and the judges. They are all in the Court of Appeal. It may be a coincidence. I'm not saying there was a foul play, but I'm saying...
They may say, we accept it. It's a beautiful coincidence.
I said that, that anything happened. But
wow.
They are all now on the bench. They are all at Court of Appeal. So, based upon the decision of the... So the Supreme Court was like, no, we will adjourn, we will rise and come back. So they rose, came back about 20 minutes time and said in their own wisdom, they are not interested in hearing the argument. They are instructing senior minister, give the information or the evidence of work done to the Auditor General. Auditor General, you have 10 days to come back to the Supreme Court to tell us whether you are satisfied or you are not satisfied. Good. 5 days after that, then the presidency go on leave. On the 6th day, the new Auditor General, who is the current Auditor General, wrote to the Supreme Court to say, I've seen it, I'm fine. Everything is okay. He planned the audit, executed the audit, and reported on audit within 24 hours. Light speed, neck-breaking speed. In fact, we should be giving him an award. I think that's the fastest audit. The fastest audit that ever happened, maybe on the globe. He planned, did the entrance, the exit conference, everything, and reported within 24 hours.
Was that an audit or a cover-up?
Well, you can call it cover-up, but he said he did an audit. From his point of view, it's an audit. So that is how things went, and the rest is history. The civil society went to the Supreme Court. Fortunately, finally, they came back and vindicated me or supported my position. But they also did well in providing me with a Pyrrhic victory, a victory which was completely useless and nonsense. They waited till I reached retiring age. then they now say, oh, you are right, but you are now retired. So, and what pained me most is the fact that when I read the judgment, then I say, these guys, first I thought they were ruling in my favor. But if you read the judgment, they say that if they don't support my position, it means that in the course of an election, for instance, the president can just tell the electoral commissioner that go on leave and appoint somebody else to continue. Then when maybe the case go to the court, the Supreme Court, for determination, Chief Justice and co can be told, go on leave. Then the president will appoint new judges to preside. So they think that is very wrong. So they were protecting their jobs, not me. So if they ruled against me, it means that they were also candidate for proceed on leave. So I said, look at this guy. You could have hidden it. You don't need to say it. You could have just said, in principle, this is wrong and you don't stand by it.
That's all.
NPP for no, and it is all hands on my any easy cry. Yes, I'm ready, but I must some taking Kokoti is our audio edit by POG Media. So